Welcome to the Week in Review. I'm Larry Tomczak. Here's the deal. And we are living in cataclysmic times. So much is happening. And God laid on my heart a while back that I've been given an assignment as a watchman to help people understand the issues of our day from a biblical worldview so that they can, in a confident and a courageous way, and a clear way, engage with people and help people understand truth. And that's what I want to do for you, because each week you'll be privileged, I trust, to enjoy the fruit of my labors as we share a week in review. What's happened the previous week, some of the key issues, points, developments, and then the coming week, what's coming up. And today we're going to deal with something, we're dealing with a warning, what will happen if Biden and Harris win. Now, years ago, the Prince of Preachers, Charles Spurgeon, gave a classic sermon, A Warning Neglected. That was a classic title. And he took from Ezekiel 33, and in there, a warning was given, it was neglected, and it was a disaster. I see that same situation today. In fact, in Ezekiel chapter 3, it says that there are individuals as watchmen that if they warn people and people don't pay any attention, then the person that's been given the commission is off the hook. But if a person doesn't warn and then people don't heed, then both of them are going to suffer. I don't want you and I to suffer. And I think today we have about 170 million registered voters, and I don't believe the overwhelming majority of them understand what's really happening with a Biden-Harris win, if that takes place. Now, if you read the book of Acts, Acts 27, you know what you can find? Paul and 276 people are going to get on a boat. Picture like a cruise line or something like that. And you know what? Before they go, there's ominous weather, and the Apostle Paul warns them. He gives them a warning, like I'm trying to give you, because there's a sobriety in this message, in this week in review. He said, don't go. There's going to be disaster. It's going to be dangerous. Well, they snuffed it off. They ignored it. Well, as a result of it, they hit a hurricane and raging winds. The whole ship was destroyed, and they almost despaired of life itself. And Paul did an I told you so. He said, I told you not to go ahead with this. I warned you. You read it in Acts 27. Well, I think I'm doing the same thing here. Now, this is not just bad news, because, 12 spies went in the land. Remember that? 10 saw the giants, 2 didn't. Now, we're going to see what's out there, and so listen, but I'll give you some good news at the end. But I want you to heed what I share. Number one, I want you to know this, that about 10 years ago, I was watching President Obama come into office, and I did not feel in my spirit that this man was honest. I felt there was deceit. He talked about a fundamental transformation of America. Remember that? And then how he began to push to destroy traditional marriage and lit up the White House with gay marriage. Well, I was working at the time on a video to educate people and warn them of what was coming. And the church I was a part of, they said, look, it'll be a deal breaker in a sense if you go ahead with this. So I was terminated. I lost my, my salary and all the benefits. But when I came home, you know what my wife said? She said, Larry, praise God, we're free. And I've been free to educate and equip people, and that's what I want to do for you. So, Larry, you say, what do you get to it now, man? What are the things? I want to give you 7 basic ones that would be basically what will happen with a Biden-Harris win. Now, the first one would be this: a Biden-Harris victory represents a clear and present danger to our American way of life. You say, isn't that a bit dramatic? No. If you saw Decision Magazine, Billy Graham's publication in Franklin, you'll see they put on the cover, there's 2 visions. We're living in a time where we have multitudes, such as you and me, that would say America is good. This is a country that has a Judeo-Christian heritage, and we value faith and family and our future, and we really want to do what's right. And we've had our flaws, but we make progress, and there's so much opportunity. Well, that's our perspective. But there's others today on the leftist side, they're more socialist, and in the Democrat side, that say, no, America's bad. Social injustice, systemic racism. America has to be dismantled. We need a progressive vision. We need to tear things down and a revolution so that we can have a brand new nation. Tear down monuments and all of these people, let's lambast them and move them off the stage. Well, that's a vision that I believe is destructive, and it makes people very ungrateful. That's the first thing that will happen with a Biden-Harris ticket. That will be predominantly what you'll hear, and it'll bleed through, and it'll go through to your children. The second thing is this. With a Biden-Harris victory, Biden, listen to this, would be a weak, unhealthy puppet president manipulated by leftist Democrat leadership. Now, Joe Biden, I've been in vocational ministry 47 years. Well, Joe Biden has been a public servant 47 years. So you learned something during that time. But see, Joe Biden projects an image and says he's a practicing Catholic. But he's hypocritical. He stands for really anti-Catholic positions. And so he's not being upfront and honest. I feel he's being dishonest. Now, Joe Biden is an individual who's almost 78 right now. Many people say, and we're not being unkind, that he's waning. He has dementia, or he's struggling. Britt Hume, who was the ABC White House correspondent for almost 20 years, he said anyone watching Biden can see senility. And when I listen to him and I see him, and he's kind of, he's kind of like a placeholder. He's kind of waiting out the clock, like in football. And who's in the wings but Kamala Harris? And she's from San Francisco. Yeah, she's, Nancy Pelosi, that whole group. She would stand against due process. And, she purports to be an African-American, a black lady. She's not. Her parents are Jamaican and they're Indian. And so I see so much dishonesty, and I can't in my good conscience say, oh yeah, I could get behind a man like this, especially when you start to look at the values that he espouses, and you need to be aware of them. This man and this ticket, I say, is dangerous. What's the third thing that would happen with a Biden and a Harris win? Well, the Biden-Harris ticket assures expansion of abortion, taxpayer funding, and support for legal infanticide. This ticket wants to repeal the Hyde Amendment. If you're not familiar with that, for 47 years, we've said no taxpayer money can ever go to pay for abortions. Well, their ticket says we're going to dismantle that. We want to get rid of that. And we want to get rid of any restrictions to abortion on demand right up until the moment of birth. You've heard the cheering that has taken place concerning this very issue. And also, they're discussing, because they've had a setback, you've seen it with Amy Barrett, we can't have this again. And so now the talk is, let's change a 150-year precedent with 9 members on the Supreme Court. And what do we want to do? Let's add 5 or 6 liberal Democrats. And if we get in office, man, this is what we want to do. Put them in so that we can make sure we thwart any conservative positions in the future, and we get our way in stopping anything that would hinder abortion and abortion on demand, and even when a child is born. That's the danger, and we will see this. It's a reality. Number 4, what would happen with a Biden and Harris ticket would be this. Like Obama, a Biden administration increases, listen to this, restrictions on conscience, religious freedom, and government hostility to Christians. In recent years, we've seen a push in what they call the cancel culture. If you're contrary with what is PC or politically correct, all of a sudden you are removed. Your career is crushed. You're called a racist, a homophobic, Islamophobic, whatever it may be. You've got to toe the line. And we're seeing that, and it's dangerous. We see it with Facebook and Google. You can see it, with Biden and his son Hunter. You saw the money laundering, with millions going and cleverly disguised. And so is that covered by the media? Well, NPR says, no, it's a waste of time. We're not going to cover that. And 60 Minutes says, well, it's all unverifiable. But excuse me, I look and I say, wait a minute. We had 2 years of pummeling of our president over a Russian collusion hoax, push for impeachment. See, there's a bias. The media is overwhelmingly corrupt. And you have individuals that pose as journalists when they're activists. And we need to be aware of this. The man that was the founder of the Fox network, Roger Ailes, do you know what he said? I loved his statement. He said, a free country must have a free press, but a free country must have a fair press. And things today are not fair, and so the battle is on. What's the next thing that will happen? I would say number 5, with a Biden and Harris victory. Joe and Kamala, their San Francisco Nancy Pelosi style politics ensures redefinition of sexuality and gender that's based on feelings and fluidity, and that's going to cause what? Confusion and further demise of the family, the nuclear family and marriage. This is the product of what you see. Who pushes this? Well, it's the Democrat Party. And so we're facing a time now where they're promising, oh, Joe Biden said the first act is going to be the Equality Act. Now that sounds innocent, innocuous, doesn't it? But you see, in 1964, we had the Civil Rights Act, and that said we can't discriminate on the grounds of race, creed, color, and that was great. But now what they want to tack on is we don't want any discrimination based on any sexual orientation or gender identification. And if you do, you'll be punished. You'll be put in prison. In other words, no church, business, school, ministry can in any way, quote, discriminate if an individual says, hey, look at this, my daughter, she's trained for 5 years in swimming. She can't wait to go to the state, mat. And all of a sudden, a guy comes along and he says, well, I'm a girl. You say, no, you're biologically a guy. No, I'm transgender and I'm going to compete with the girls. You say, well, how do you stop it? Well, that's why they want the Equality Act to stand in the way of this. They want to put it as law so that bathrooms, yes, transgender bathrooms and changing rooms, you can't discriminate. And they are aggressive and they are pushing to make this come to pass. Okay, let's look at the next point, is this. Number 6. The Biden tax plan increases taxes, yes, on corporations and individuals to underwrite massive socialist entitlement programs, gut your savings, and guarantee an inevitable economic crash. Hey, Joe Biden has made a promise. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to eliminate the Trump's tax cuts. Now, my wife and I benefit on our income tax by the thousands. You look at how the robust economy prior to COVID-19, what took place. The Hispanics and the blacks in our country were celebrating. We were seeing everything. Then we got hit with COVID-19. So now what are we getting? We're getting a man that wants to be president saying, I'm going to cut all those tax cuts out, and I've got a new tax plan. We're going to make sure corporations, 7%, and we're going to have creative ways, whether it's a wealth tax or through Social Security, death tax. We're going to start, raising taxes for you. And there goes your 401k. You'll be saying, wait a minute, I didn't expect this to happen. 50% of our savings is dropping. Why? You say, well, where's the money going to come from for all these massive entitlements? Come on, let's be real about this. Free medical care for everybody. That's how it's put. Free college tuition. Free child care. Do you know that Biden made a pledge and said, fact, you can look this up. He said, we are going to ensure whether it's 12 or 15 million illegal, undocumented aliens, immigrants, they get free medical care, total comprehensive health care for them, their spouses, and their children. You say, well, Larry, who's going to pay for all this? Well, how else do you do it except through taxes? And then as taxes go up, and then people are not spending as much, and then you start finding corporations, what are they going to do? They start shipping overseas, they cut back on their research and development. You see all these things take place, and then you see people that are a little more affluent, they start moving. New York's going to lose 1 million people this year. And you see state-run by Democrats, like New York and California, people are leaving in droves. New York, you got 50 to 60% in tax money. You say, well, that couldn't happen. Well, that's what they're pushing. How else are you going to pay for this? We got a $30 trillion debt right now. And guess what? A former bartender who's an avowed socialist, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she's got the plan, and she's the point person for Joe Biden on what? The Green New Deal. $93 trillion. That's going to be $600,000 per household. Because now, what did we have? Well, Biden even gone on record and said, we're going to end the oil industry. What? Yeah, by 2035. That's his pledge. You say, we're going to go to what? Wind and solar. And what is all this going to mean, folks? It's going to mean a crashing of the economy and a recession probably within the first year. And when that starts to hit, that's why I'm saying, I'm warning, you don't want to go down this path. This is dangerous. Now, I'm going to end with one more. I'm going to tell you there's a 7th point, and this one is kind of a composite. Additional progressive package, here it is, of proposals to fundamentally transform America. Now, let me tell you what this is. This is going to be rapid fire. But you know, on the 4th of July, when you have the fireworks and they say, man, here it is. Oh, it's the climax. It's the denouement, and it's going to all end. And all of a sudden, there's this splash of all the fireworks and bam. Well, get ready. I'm going to give you 10 more leftist proposals, plans. This is not just speculative. This is what they've pledged and they said. Are you ready for them? How about this? Working to move quickly and eliminate the Electoral College. You say, no, they wouldn't do that. Yeah, people, when they do the polls, they don't understand the Electoral College. So the Dems are working to say, we're going to eliminate that. Oh, another thing, how about this one? Nationally, we want to legalize marijuana, and we want to free any prisoners that, they've been involved for some innocent or innocuous drug crimes. They need to be set free. We have individuals that are saying right now, I think you know this one, you ready for more? How about this? Comprehensive gun control. Yeah, work on the Second Amendment and let's get that things changed. You know, Peggy Noonan writes for the Wall Street Journal, and she wrote recently, and she's not been favorable towards Trump, but she says if the White House and Senate and House, they all go the Dem way, she said, it's going to be like a runaway freight train. All the progressive plans, they've waited. We're going to put these in place. How about open borders? No more deportations. Everybody come on in, welcome. You say, well, could that happen? That's exactly right. And no more security wall? How about turning around the initiatives and the achievements of the Trump administration? It's already there. They're saying we're going to comprehensively review and we're going to reverse these things. You say, what is that? On abortion, sex trafficking, homeschooling, pornography. Let's go right now. Foreign policy, the Iranian, all of these things that the Trump administration and conservatives have been able to hold back in a good way. We're salt. We hold back decay. That stuff goes by the wayside. And now we're in charge. We're in control. How about a few more things? I would say this one. How about granting statehood? You know that's a push? Let's get Puerto Rico as a state because they're Democrats. We'll get 2 more senators, and it'll be more difficult, but D.C. And then we could have 4 more Democrats senators. What would that mean? Well, that would mean a one-party rule in America. See, you go to New York, you go to California, you go to Illinois, it's one-party rule. It doesn't matter if Mickey Mouse ran in California, he's going to win because it's Democrat control. Imagine years ago, Ronald Reagan won 2 terms. That's an impossibility today. But that's why open the borders, let everyone in, give the entitlement programs. The question is, though, who's going to pay for this? And so that's when taxes go up, businesses leave, 401ks collapse, recession. This is Economics 101. So you say, Larry, I'm a little bit apprehensive. Well, you need to share what I've shared with you. This is not based on speculation. These are policies, these are programs, these are pledges that have been made. And these people, the progressives, the extremists, the radicals, and how about what's going on in terms of, our cities that are Democrat run, the looting, the violence. You say, well, Larry, I mean, that kind of stuff, that'll go away. No. You have people call that social protests, and it's peaceful protests. And there are people that are committed. Black Lives Matter. Do you know the full support? I'm not saying the slogan. That's fine. That's beautiful. But you know what? You have Black Lives Matter. They're supported by Biden and Kamala Harris and the gang. And what do they want? They want to see, again, the end of America because of systemic racism and end the nuclear family as it is and police funding. All of these things, you say, well, we can stop it. Well, not if you have individuals that are in power that are controlling by the majority and by their party. I am telling you right now, we are living on the precipice of an apocalyptic occurrence in America. I'm not being scary. I am telling you, I'm warning you. And I want to ask you to please share this. Get the word out. This is the Week in Review. We'll be doing this every single week, but this one is for you. And you know, Ronald Reagan, I end with this. He would be an individual that said, if we don't fight for freedom, and you've maybe heard that classic quote, then he said, one day you will awaken and you will be telling your children and your grandchildren what freedom was like and what America was like when freedom ruled. The Pilgrims came and they had a purpose. And we want to embrace this. We want to be humble. They said, we come for the glory of God. And what? And the advancement of the Christian faith. We want to regain our heritage. Let's move with repentance. Let's cry out to God for miraculous intervention. And let's face the reality. Everything I've told you here, and you can read the accompanying articles that I do this week, etc., and you'll have it more spelled out specifically. But this is reality. But it's not too late. I believe God's telling us, like Deuteronomy 30, I've set before you life and death, blessings and cursings. Choose life.